guys, and welcome back to Foxshot Realistic Creative Server update number 42. And I'm here with Seb and Not Very Blue, or just Blue. And they made this place, which is basically a German town. It's actually called Windisch Eschenbach. And that is probably a really bad pronunciation, but that's what this place is called. And there is a locomotive here. I assume that's Deutsche Bahn. It's pulling some trailers on these flatbeds. I'm not sure what brand that is, but maybe if you're from Germany, maybe you recognize this. Here's the station itself, so it's actually very well detailed. There's all these little tiny things here. I assume that are in real life. There's even this underground portion. I didn't even see this before. Yeah, it just goes on sort of like an underpass, and there's like a locomotive. Actually, a lot of locomotives. This is going to be a power move. So yeah, we have a bunch of these red locomotives. All different shapes. They're all red. You know, red's a really common livery here. And then we also have these nice railway traffic signals and catenaries, which I think Blue was making that. And here's what it looks like on the end. We got a nice overpass. There's also some nice hill terrain that's going on here, so that's pretty cool that it's not just flat. And the road itself is on a diagonal as well. Alright, so if we make our way back, there's a couple of more buildings right over here on the side. Some houses. I assume it's like a little tiny shed. This one's a really small one. So I don't know, do people actually live here, or is this like a shed? I don't know. Yeah, there's like 2 cars parked around here. This one looks like it's from Initial D though. So for the station building itself, it says Ausgang. I don't know what that means. Gang. Looks to be revolving door, maybe trash can. A lot of little details. I assume this is for like a ticket machine or something like that. And if we make our way to the other side of the station, there is just one locomotive by itself. I believe this one's made by Blue. Alright, so next up we have Lavi, and he's been building some ships in Minecraft. They're all 1.5 to 1 scale. And we got a bunch of destroyers here from World War II. So here we got the USS Cleves, and it's one of the US Navy's destroyers. Then right over here, this is the USS Nicholas, which is a Fletcher class destroyer. And the Fletcher is actually pretty famous in World War II. It's like widely used. And hopefully in the future, we're going to have a tutorial for that on the Minecraft Military Force. Then we have the USS L&M Summer, and then the USS Laffy. Then right over here is the USS Sims, and I don't know what this one is. It kind of looks similar, all these destroyers, but they are different if you actually look closely at them. And right over here on the other side are some U-boats. I believe we already did a tutorial on the Type 7 one. And he just has some other types here. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at Fox River. And this is a station by Rosie Fox. And they are from the UK. So here we have the British trains. And this is actually quite a large scale. I believe it's 3 to 1 scale. So it's pretty amazing that they made all of this in such a large scale. We have a lot of locomotives. I know she likes diesel locomotives the most. So here is one of them. I actually don't know all the classes for British trains, so if you are from the Britain, you probably know what these are. I know this one looks like a Class 08 shunter. That's actually pretty famous. You can look at all the detail. And then right over here, I think we've seen this in an update before, but now it's in an actual setting, not just by itself, which is pretty cool because usually when people build these large trains, they're just in the middle of nowhere. They're not in an actual setting, which is what this is. So this is actually pretty impressive, I must say. So I think these are some DMUs. You can look at the bottom, the bogie, all that bottom detailing. And then right over here, we got some more locomotives. Very cool. I'm not actually sure what this is, but if you do know, let me know in the comments section down below if you actually recognize these trains. Alright, so here is Swippy, and she built this Netherlands Spoorwegen. This is the Koploper, the ICM. So this is built in 10 to 1 scale, so it's very, very large. And here's what it looks like on the bottom. A lot of detail on this bogie, as well as this part down here. I don't know what the components are, but there seems to be a lot down here. Maybe some kind of battery or like the AC system. So here's what it looks like on the interior of the Koploper. It's very, very nice. We got a row of seatings. If you guys ever rode this in real life, maybe you will recognize it. Got a nice red barrier here. There's also some luggage racks up on the top part. And at the end of the car, here is what looks like the vestibule. Alright, so now let's move on to the cab. Alright, so for this front section, here's what it looks like. It appears to be a door here, and then this is the actual interior of the cab. So here are the like cab controls, I guess a lever, and yeah, very, very nicely detailed. And there's a bit on the bottom, so I think probably still working on this part because it's a little bit hollow. And here's what the roof of the caploper looks like. So we got some nice pantographs over here. And then this is what the head looks like from the top. Now we also have this locomotive here. This is the EF1 for the Milwaukee Road. It's a bit of a different livery, they said. And here's what it looks like on the side. Very nicely detailed. Trucks down here, they're all like coupled down. And then here's what the middle part looks like. Now if we go on the inside of this, there's some interior detailing, so very cool. And what is this, like the engine room or something like that? And then I suppose in the front they have a cab, or maybe not. Not yet. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at the Brunswick Palace in Germany, and this is again by Laffy. And apparently it was the residence of the Brunswick Dukes from 1753 to 1918. Here's a German flag, and some text here says, Am Stilen Gelden and die Gefallenen Soldaten. I don't know what that actually means, but if you're German, maybe you do know. Here's our nice road over here. Got a nice bus stop along with some architecture here. These are actually some modern looking buildings. Maybe they're apartments or something like that. A lot of parking space here, or maybe government buildings, who knows. Alright, so this is by Mr. Sweet. It's his home farm, which he's working on a farm apparently. It has some pretty nice lighting inside. Another shed there, another shed over here, and this one's actually a lot more detailed than the other ones. This actually looks pretty realistic. A lot of materials, like a workshop here, workbench, and a van. And there's also like a cow pack that he's making. Very cute. And then on the side here, we got some kind of a bridge. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at Hugo's planes and warp planes, or just aircraft as well, because we got a Huey there. We got the A-10 Warhog, we got the F-15, and you know, the F-22 Raptor, the F-16, the Spitfire Mark II. It says thanks to Hisok for helping with that. He has more planes right here, where this is like an F-4 Phantom, and then we got a MiG-21 BIS, and it says base designed by RDM Aluminium. Hard name to say. Here's an attack helicopter, and on the other side we got a B-25 Mitchell, and then we got the E-2C Hawkeye, and this is used for the U.S. Navy on the carriers for, I guess, surveillance. And then right over here is from World War II. We got the C-47 Skytrain, an iconic plane with the invasion stripes. All right, so next up by the Dales, we have the Tokyo Fire Department. Right over here, we got the Toyota Hiace command car. And this one looks like an ambulance. Yep, Toyota. Then we got an Isuzu command car. So just a bunch of different, you know, fire apparatuses and vehicles. We even got like a truck here. You can load stuff inside. You know, fire trucks and fire engines. We got a rescue truck, hazmat, and then a couple of these pumpers. There's just a lot in Tokyo. They have a lot of fire trucks. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at some Star Wars builds by MCC DD101. So we've got the iconic Republic gunship, a lot of variants of it apparently. So here we got closed, the open doors from the Clone Wars, and then here from Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, with the bubble pods on the sides. One at the bottom with the open bay doors like this. So very cool stuff. And I believe these are all 1.5 to 1 scale. So yeah, they are the LAAT, and then we got the LAAT-C, so this is a carrier version of it, and it basically used to haul out the ATTEs and, you know, ATOTs. And apparently we have some lightsabers here, so that is apparently Qui-Gon's lightsaber. And then we have Obi-Wan's saber, and this long one here is Darth Maul's one, so it's like kind of like 2 lightsabers in one. We also have the Z95, which I'm actually not really familiar with. And then we have the ARC 170, I believe, yeah, from the Clone Wars, or Revenge of the Sith. We got some Y-Wing bombers, very cool stuff indeed. And then right over here we have the V-Wing. And these are ones, okay, so these wings actually move different positions. And then we have, I believe that's Anakin's starfighter, and this is probably Obi-Wan's starfighter. And then right over here, he's actually working on some kind of a Republic cruiser, I believe. And here's another large ship in the works, and then here is yet another one, and apparently that's called the Ghost. And then right over here, we have the Phantom. And over here, we have the Nemodian shuttle used by the Confederacy. Oh, apparently this thing makes it like really long. Back over here we have a Millennium Falcon in the works, and then an A-Wing. Alright, so further down we have some TIE fighters used by the Imperials. This one's pretty cool. So there's definitely like a lot of variants. I know that's TIE Bomber. I don't know what that's called. This one's actually pretty cool. Then we got a First Order Snow Speeder here. And then right over here, this is probably the First Order AT Walker. So very, very long, large build. And what is this right over here? I think this might be an ATDP, but I could be wrong. And now we're going to take a look at some lesser dots trains in Warp Train. So I believe the rows with this golden block are the new ones. So right over here we have the SNCF Z27500 AGC. It's a TER livery, which I have no idea what that is. Maybe from France, you do know. Then we have the Z51500, also SNCF. Some little shunters here, some coaches, and some other rolling stock here on the side. Alright, so we're back in Warp France, and now we're going to take a look at what he has in this area. There's going to be a new train over here riding along the rails. I don't actually recognize this. If you do, let me know in the comments what it is. Here's a look at his rail yard. We got a lot of trains right over here. A lot of catenary wires going across. And that train is actually being pulled by this blue locomotive. And if we go further down the rail yard, some more locomotives, some cars. And back over here, another work shed. In the works, going to be some catenary wires going across. And we got a train right over here riding along the rails along this hilly terrain. And here's a view of what it looks like so far of the other side of Warp France. So it's still in the works. Alright, so here is Spicy Yard. He's doing it yet again. I think this is like the third or fourth time he's making the yard. And he's just like redoing it from the old one. So we got some Union Pacific locomotives. They might actually have some builds from other people here. I'm not actually quite sure. But yeah, Union Pacific locomotives here, and then we have a lot of these hoppers, and this is a new building, and inside just like a little workshop to work on this locomotive. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at Mr. Sweet's area in Warp Car. So from last time we had these farming tractors, a lot of varieties here, and the other side of this lot's actually shared by the Dills, which I think he also has some new things as well. Look at this thing, it's sticking out way outside of the parking area. So here is a view of all the different tractor designs, and if you guys actually do want to look at these up close, you can come on and check out the server and see for yourself. You can see the names for all of these because they're probably all labeled Challenger MT 700, for example. This one's actually quite interesting. Kind of looks like it's yeah, it looks like some shreds here on the side. We got the class Arion right over here, and then back over there we got some American and John Deere, which is a very large farming and agriculture company. And then here we have that New Holland TS. And then while we're at it, we can take a look at the Dills vehicles here. Some British emergency vehicles, some cars, and then here are the new tractor designs. We even have an excavator here, so there's actually like different attachments. That is pretty cool. JCB excavator. Actually don't know what is JCB. Never heard of that company. I only know like Caterpillar and Komatsu. And then on the other side of this we have, I believe this is by the Mighty Mo, because he actually builds construction vehicles too. So, you know, we got some of that, as well as some intermodal cranes, which are pretty cool. We've got a lot of these containers here. They are like 40 foot, so 40 foot's pretty standard, and I guess these are like 53-foot containers. We even got some of these tractors here. It's a pretty cool design for the tractor. And here's a view of the other vehicles. Alright, so now I'm going to take a look at Hisok's area in Warp Car. So here we got a lot of these vehicles here. There's actually quite a lot. What is this even? This is the Churchill. But yeah, it's pretty much a bunch of British tanks, and you can tell by the jack right here, the Union Jack, I believe that's what it's called. What is this right over here? Kuwait? Or Korea? Some kind of Korean word here. Hisok is Korean, so whoa, what is that? Al Hussein, 2010. So he's been starting to use this technique, just using snow layers. That's just the new thing he's been doing. Some more British vehicles right over here. So we could take a look at all these different vehicles here. I'm just gonna go down the row. So here we have the German vehicles. Quite a bit of them. I told him to mark out the ones that he actually wanted me to review, but I'm not actually sure what the marking is, so you know what, I'm just gonna go over all of them right here, just a large show. Oh, this one's actually pretty cool. You know, it got like a little, it looks like it has a hole there, you know. This is the XM1 Abrams tank, so maybe the predecessor to the Abrams tank. We got the M88 Hercules, some combat engineering. This is like a bridge layer here. We have the Boxer GTK right there from Germany. The M48 tank, couple of these Centurion tanks. Now let's go further down. Let's see what else is new here. We got the, you know, MRAPs, mine-resistant ambush protected vehicles. This one's actually pretty cool. It's sort of like an Abrams tank, but they made it into like a sort of like a combat engineering mine clearing vehicle, I believe. We got the Max Pro MRAP there. I believe we have seen some of them before, but there could be some new ones. So I'm just going over everything right here. Got some German, you know, Nazi Germany vehicles, and they have quite a lot of different variations of these, which I'm not exactly a World War II historian, so I don't know what they are just looking at them. I just know like the iconic ones, you know, like the Tiger tank. And then we have some more Israeli stuff, so maybe like the Merkava, a bunch of armored vehicles. And this is like a sort of like a mine clearing vehicle. It says Puma on it. And then we have the Magna Shot, which is an armored personnel carrier. And then we have the Nagnachan. I don't know what these actually are. Never even heard of them until now. And then we have the heavy tank, the M6, which I don't know what that is, but here they are. A bunch of these tanks. And then right over here, we got some Sherman tanks, it looks like. Yeah, some Shermans. Then we got some more Sherman tanks. And then on this side, we even have some more tanks. So we got some Leopard tanks. And I don't know, is this like the Danish flag? I'm not quite sure. Here we have Turkey. Turkey tanks. I think they have their own tank. And then we have the French right here. And then what's next? We have the Switzerland. Swiss Army, which is pretty neutral. And they go into the Vatican or whatever. What is this even? Could this be Poland? I don't know, but it's some more Leopard tanks. So a lot of Leopard tanks here. So right over there, Norwegian over there. Italians right here. And then what else is next? Japanese stuff right there. You know, they got their color scheme, as well as, what is this, Imperial. We even have some World War II tanks, so that's kind of interesting. Let me see right here. Yeah, we got the Chiha. And then right over here, I'm not actually sure what this flag is supposed to represent. But we got that. Let me know in the comments what you guys think it is. M1A1. I did look up one of these things, like this one right here, the AAS-21 Redback, and it says from South Korea, but I'm not sure exactly if it is, because this doesn't exactly look like the Korean flag to me. Anyways, next up we have some French again. You know, we got the AMX-10RC, etc. Just a lot of varieties. Even some, what is this from, like World War I? I've seen this on Wikipedia, I think. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this update video. If you guys do want to join the server and become a builder for yourself, you can check out the server in the description down below. We are on Java Edition, although we do have a Bedrock server called Foxshot, which is on a different channel. We are a realistic creative server, so we are aiming to make it more to real life. And you would just build a house based on a reference picture for your trial, and if you pass, then you become a builder, and if not, you can try over again until you do. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video. If you guys do enjoy the video, make sure you hit that like button down below, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.